This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 663 with guest Erin Lawrence and Mike Wieger, recorded on November 13th, 2025. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorites, tech gadgets that find their way into your home, news, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy and gal included in that as well. I'm your host, Jim Carlson, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.TV studio here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. Mike, we don't get, it flirted with winter for a moment, right? We're back to some beautiful fall weather. It's pretty great, right, here in Nebraska.
It tried real hard. We did one last camping trip in the RV this past weekend, and then on Sunday, we had to pack it up early, and it woke it up, it was like 20 degrees. And now, today, you're 60, 70 degrees, so we can't decide what we want. But
yeah, 70, which Erin is really nice, by the way. 70 is nice. That's
okay, thank you for the translation.
Fahrenheit, yes.
Because in Canada, right, it's a little bit different there, but we've got some nice weather coming. Erin, did you escape? You're not in Canada right now. You're somewhere else. But did you escape any brutal Canadian weather? Has it snowed already for you?
We did have snow. We've had snow twice, but it didn't stick, which is good. And it hasn't been too cold, actually. I'm in Los Angeles, where it's much warmer, though, which is nice. Although I just found out we're apparently supposed to get a huge storm here in the next day or two. So
okay,
we'll see what that brings.
I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in California. Let me translate huge storms. So it'll be 15 or 20 mile an hour winds, which means the trash blows around. Okay. That's what that means. And then an inch of rain, which means, it's a lot of concrete. So in LA, there's one big gutter. I forget what they call it. I think some river, whatever it used to be. It's all concrete now. You see it on every
Angeles
movie.
River, right?
Yeah. You see it on every movie, Terminator and all. They go into the gutters, right? Whatever, they go into the river. And it'll fill up for a second, and it carries all the water bottles out to the ocean. So that's the big storm. Yeah, that's
good to know. Then I feel very well prepared and less freaked out. The locals seem freaked out, so that's you always try and follow their lead.
When it's sunny and 75 every day, if a little wind. And listen, they've had, just to be fair, LA's had some real tragedies with weather lately. So we make light of that, but I know some of you guys have suffered out there as well. So be safe, Erin. Be safe.
Thank you.
Well. We also want to thank our Patreon subscribers who do that each and every month. If you're on that team, thanks for jumping in and getting that done. You can join that, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. And then if you want to head out to theaverageguy.tv and push through the affiliate link, you can do that as well. If you're purchasing Amazon, I know Black Friday's coming up. Everybody's going to have a chance to purchase however you do that. Although maybe moving away from some of those Amazon purchases and doing something different. Maybe we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Well, I mentioned both Mike and Erin are here. It's like my birthday. I love it. Welcome, friends. We'll have Erin on for the next 60 minutes or so, work through some of those reviews. Mike's going to stay around for a little bit of catch up between the two of us. But Erin, welcome. It's great to have you on the show. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jim. It's always good to be here. Your audience is fantastic. And, it's always really great to catch up with you and Mike as well. Hear what you guys are up to and working on.
But here's my problem. When Jim told me I was going to be on with you, I was like, dang it, now I got to bring my wallet. Because I always end up buying something, when you're on the show. I was like, this show is going to be an expensive show if that's who I'm on with. So I'm excited to hear. You always bring some cool stuff.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks.
Well, no kidding expensive. We're going to kick the thing off with a fridge.
Oh, great. Okay.
And Mike, I'll show the video here in a second, but Erin, we're going to talk about some vehicles at the end. You've been reviewing cars. That's not necessarily new, but you got a fridge you're reviewing. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I reviewed a fridge. I've been on the hunt for a new refrigerator for what seems like ever. And when I've been shopping for fridges, I feel like I've kind of seen the same fridge over and over again, just with a different brand label on it. And when this one popped into my radar, I was pretty impressed. It's called the Mydea One-Touch Autofill refrigerator. So the key really cool thing that it does is it will automatically fill ice and water for you. So you just stick a glass or a cup or a mug or a martini shaker for that matter under the dispenser. And it's the dispenser is similar to one you would find on a more traditional fridge with an ice maker or water dispenser. But this one, you can just set the cup or the vessel down and it can actually see the size and sort of shape of what it is. So it'll fill the ice and or the water automatically for you. So you can set it down, walk away, come back, and your glass is perfectly full. So that's kind of the key feature of this refrigerator, which I thought, you know, do I need an autofill refrigerator for the ice and water? That's something I can do for myself. But if I'm being honest, the convenience of that is pretty incredible. It's pretty handy to have.
Well, and as you say that, Erin, I didn't even think of you using it. I think of my kids. I'm like, this is a overflow savior, because how many times they stick it up there and they can't see and they just keep pressing and then water overflows or ice comes tumbling down. Like, if I could send my 4-year-old or 5-year-old, they can just set it up there and it fills and they pull it back down. That sounds like a parent's dream to me.
I never thought of that, but you are absolutely right. And it works. I tested it with a bunch of different glassware, which was the other thing. I thought, you know, if it can only see like one size of glass, that's not really helpful. But I tested it with a bunch of different glassware, a bunch of different cups, kind of different materials. You know, I put a mug under there. It worked pretty much every time. And if for some reason it didn't, there was one martini shaker I happened to have that it didn't seem to want to fill. There's that button that's in the back of it where you can just press it against it and it'll fill it for you, you know, manually, I guess we'll call that. But
for those listening to the
feature
audio,
in a fridge you didn't know you needed.
For those listening to the audio only, here we've got the video. You might want to come over and check these out. And I'll have the links in the show notes to Erin's video so you can watch those as well. But an arm, you know, a whole cylinder comes down on it. Now I did see some ice. We're seeing one of those water bottles now. And so it's a variable. It measures the distance to the top of the bottle, comes down, sets that automatically, and then starts filling that up with ice. I did see some ice flying out on one of your videos. So maybe not perfect, right, in the dumping of the ice, just because that just seems like it's always a messy, you know, dropping ice.
I do think that's kind of a side effect of any of those dispensers, whether it's manual or automatic. When it's crushing the ice out through the outlet, I think it always has a little bit of overspill. When I was doing my testing, it was really just a couple small chips that would come out. So it wasn't, it wasn't creating a mess all over the kitchen.
I always happen to have my socks on when I'm doing that. And then you always step on the biggest piece. Somehow it's only a little piece, but you always seem to step on. All right. So a little gadgetry up front, right? I mean, I think we do use our fridges a lot to fill up water bottles or whatever from that. Any other smart features that you were impressed by with this fridge?
Not so much. Well, I shouldn't say that. You can connect the fridge to your phone. So you can actually set up the ice and water from your phone. You can manage the temperature from your phone. It will send alerts to your phone if the door is left ajar by accident. So, I mean, that's pretty smart and convenient as well. If you happen to close the fridge door, walk away, you know, go into another room, another floor, and you don't realize you've left it ajar, it'll ping your phone. So that's pretty handy. Yeah. And then not so much tech features, but just like clever design elements. There's a couple of shelves and bins that are called the infinite shelf and the infinite door bin. And the infinite shelf, it's built like a tambour door, where it's sort of articulated, and you basically just push the shelf backwards in the fridge and it can make space for taller items to go. So instead of having to clear everything off of one of the shelves, you can essentially just push it towards the back and it opens up a whole bunch of room for you. And the same is true. There's a bin in the door where you can adjust the height of that as well with just, you know, pulling a little lever. You don't have to unload the whole shelf. You can just adjust it. I just was blown away by how clever the design was. And like I said, I thought kind of all fridges look the same for a while until I saw this one and until I got this one into my home and just found out how well organized it is. And the last thing I'll touch on really quickly is the lighting, because man, I had no idea how much fridge lighting had evolved. This one has, I can't remember if it's 5 or 7. I think it's 5 LED light panels inside the fridge, but it's also got a reflective back. So it just bounces the light all around. So there's no more kind of dark back corners of your fridge where stuff goes to die. In here, you can see everything. And it's just, have found in the last month it's kind of helped me reduce waste in the fridge and throwing out that food that kind of gets forgotten. I can see everything now, which is super helpful.
If they didn't market this to parents, they really missed even your door ajar alert. Like my kids leaving that door open all the time because, they're not strong enough to get it and they don't notice if it didn't close all the way. I think, and I was thinking too, from the filling perspective, my wife's an occupational therapist. So I think of like the adaptive things for that of someone who has, maybe if they have tremors and their handshakes and holding that and filling it, just being able to set it, let it fill and grab it. I'm sure there's a lot of like use cases for that on the automatic side. Interesting.
I didn't think of that, but you're so right. And even those being able to adjust the shelves without having to lift them and take them out and unload the fridge. That's a great use for that, Mike. I never thought of that.
Yeah. You Erin, you show that in the video.
Mydea. It's a company called Mydea.
Mydea. Awesome.
You show that in the video where you have a shelf. It's even got stuff in it, and you can kind of push clip, pull it up and down. It stays in the rails. It's not falling out at you. Like I'm sure it's staying secure in some ways.
Yeah.
Because there is that always, there's that one time you're like, okay, I've got this special bottle of something, but it fits nowhere in the fridge, right? Yeah. And so in your case, the door ones move around. You could shift one of those, maybe move a few shorter ones up top, shift the push it up, and then that bottle would fit. Yep. I love, and you guys got to see the video. Head out to Erin's YouTube channel. I have this link posted in the show notes. Literally, the shelf, you push the shelf back. Now, I mean, it's not magic. You can't, if you have too much food on your shelf, it's going to fall off like one of those arcade ones where you have the quarters and it's trying to push them off the shelf, right? Kind of thing. But you were able to push it back, condense it a little bit, and then get a taller water bottle in there from a smart standpoint, just to really allows you to kind of maximize the fridge space in there.
And I know you guys have Thanksgiving coming up too. The other thing I was able to do with that was to push that shelf back, keep most of the stuff on it, and fit a whole turkey in there to thaw. Instead of having to, go in, readjust all the shelves in there and trying to find place to put, awkward bigger items temporarily. You can just shove that shelf right back, thaw your turkey until Thanksgiving, and you're set to go.
Because the amount of wasted space, because to Jim's point, like as I was watching that video from what you did, right, you moved it back, but not all the way. So you were still able to have a half shelf and you were able to accommodate really tall things. Whereas in most fridges, you have to just set the height and that's the height for the whole shelf. So you could have one tall item that then takes up all the space where you could have had more shelves on top. So I'm shocked that this hasn't been around for years. Once you see it, you're like, it's so obvious. Yeah. But I never would have thought about it until I saw that video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
how you know it's good, when it's like, oh, that's so obvious. That's
you're like, it's good. Why haven't we done this before?
Right.
Like, and some of those.
Why I told Jim I was irrationally excited, irrationally in love with my new fridge. It's just, it's made cooking, and we cook a lot at home for ourselves. So we've always got like food and ingredients and leftovers in there. It's just made it so much easier to keep everything organized.
It's those quality of life improvements.
That's right.
Yep. That make a huge difference.
Do you get to keep it? Is that something you get to hold on to? You're going to be able. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. Yeah. Okay, so we bought a new fridge 6 months ago, let's just say, and we picked up, let's just whatever's it's pretty good, right? It's a pretty good fridge. But one of the things I noticed, the 20-year-old fridge took like 4 of us to get out of the house. The new fridge, I might have been able to lift in by myself. It was so light. Like these newer fridges are pretty, a lot of plastic parts, I guess is what I'm saying. Do you get with a fridge like this, right, with all the components, did it feel heavy enough? Because sometimes when I open the doors, I'm afraid I'm going to pull the fridge over, because you're used to the old fridge, or you can just jam that thing open. I don't know. Any thoughts weight wise, or as far as, does it feel robust?
It feels quite substantial. And when we were trying to move it into the house, it actually took sort of 2.5 people to move it in. Yeah. It's heavy, I would say. And I know what you're saying about sometimes, if you yank on the door, it feels like the whole thing's going to come out. This one feels very substantial. It feels quite well made. And our previous fridge to that, which we had for about 5 or 6 years, I I mean, every time I knocked something into one of the shelves, you know, it would crack.
Yeah.
Super annoying. Didn't feel very durable at all.
Yeah.
This, like, I've knocked things into this fridge already, and it feels like it's better made to me already.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure with the smart that's built into it, I'm sure it's got a little premium associated with it as well, right? As far as the price.
Yeah.
Price
It's a little more expensive maybe than your average fridge.
Yeah.
But it's also, we got the slightly larger, not the larger size of this particular fridge, but just we opted to get a bigger fridge than our previous one. So this is, I think, the largest size fridge we can get, which I think is 30 inches. I'm forgetting now. And those do cost a bit more too. So
yeah. Mike, would you trust the water and ice to the kids? Would the boys be? Would you give them?
I trust him more than the 4-year-old himself. You know what I mean? Like, yes, sure. Like, it's a guarantee they're going to overfill their cup. So that's 100% fault right there. And then, so if this thing can do any better than that, we'd be in business. Yeah.
It does have some buttons. I have found on the new fridges, one of the things that's not intuitive is it's got, for ours anyways, it's got the symbols, but the button to push it is still just in the center. So you're trying to push the symbols, and they're not buttons, right? There are lights underneath that when you push the center button, right? You know, kind of things. So like, oh, okay, that was it. And then, Erin, did this thing come with a subscription? Because everything's coming with a subscription.
No subscription.
No,
you're
nice.
Paying cash in, and as far as I know, it's all included. The app connectivity is included.
They wanted us to connect to, I think it's an LG. So they wanted us to, like, hey, make an account and connect, and we'll send you free filters. I'm sure it has a filter, right, associated with the water. Yeah, those kinds of things. We'll send you, send us your data kind of thing, So I always, like, I think I'm good. I think I'm good on a fridge without a subscription. Well, good for you. Those are fun. I think this is one of those areas, when we thought about smart fridges years ago, I always thought the smart stuff, the best use of that was items coming in and out of your fridge, scanning something on the way out, scanning something on the way back in, keeping track of that. We're still not really there yet, right? And the work that you're doing in the consumer space, fridges aren't that smart. It's not like they're remembering the contents. Have you seen anything like that?
I think Samsung, I think it was Samsung that had that fridge where it had cameras inside and could read sort of, you could either read, it would read the barcodes of what was inside, or you could sort of turn on the camera and look inside your fridge if you were at the store and wanted to see if you had milk or not. But I just don't think it really caught on. I think it's probably ahead of its time. I mean, that was about 5 or 6 years ago. The Family Hub refrigerator was another Samsung innovation where it's got a screen, like a full digital touch screen, streaming, smart home, all of that built into the fridge. And that just doesn't feel natural either. And I haven't seen that hit wide consumer appeal yet. So yeah, I think just good design and practical tech, like those door alerts, things like that, or appliances that can sort of diagnose themselves through an app. So if there's something that's not working on your dishwasher or your stove, can it send an alert to your phone to say, I need a service call, my filter is blocked? That kind of stuff is practical and helpful. Whereas, looking at Netflix on the screen on the fridge just doesn't seem genuine. Yeah, but listen, we have an Alexa. We're going to talk about those devices maybe a little bit later here. But an Alexa integrated, I shouldn't say it, the A-Lady, it's been a while since we've talked about that on the show. Sorry if I just activated everybody's devices, but that integrated into the fridge, and because we've got one anyways, wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. But then those have a life expectancy of just a couple years. This has always been the problem. You're hoping that fridge will get you at least 10, I would think, right? 10 years would probably be a realistic expectation. I would hope so, yeah.
Like that. Yeah. So it's always been tough. Mike, with your kids, you think about the family, young kids, I'd never trust, like, checking things in and out of the fridge. Kids aren't they're never gonna do that, right? That's never gonna happen. And I can't imagine sometimes I tried thinking about doing it with weights. Like, you'd pick it up and the fridge would be able to sense, oh, that milk was there, and now you're taking the milk. Would you be would you be interested in if it built a shopping list for you though, based on what you used out of your fridge? Would that work?
I don't know. It's funny on the kid thing though, because I don't need it to alert me on what we're out of for the kids because they let me know. We're at the store. Hey, Dad, we do not have Go-Gurts. We do not have any more applesauces. We do not have any more bananas. Right. It's my stuff that I don't know if we have any more of. So they let me know. On the grocery list, maybe. I just think it would be. I don't know. We're different. We are not consistent with what we buy. We buy random stuff all the time. So just because we had something in our fridge doesn't mean I want it again. We go through a lot of phases. The kids go through a bunch of phases. We do too. And so I don't know if it would ever be consistent enough that we would ever use. But one thing I will say, one requirement lately for me, anything smart coming into my house has to work with Home Assistant. And so it's going to be an official integration, or most of the time in Home Assistant, it's a community-made integration where the community found a way to connect the two services. But that's been my latest requirement. So I'm starting to see some products advertised as we work with Home Assistant. Do you know, did they happen to advertise that? Most aren't yet, but did they happen to advertise?
Not that I saw. No, that wasn't something I looked up.
Yeah, that's it for me. It's just it's got to work with that. That's my new hub, right? It's kind of like my A-Lady or my Google, and I just run everything through Home Assistant now.
Yeah,
about a million integrations into that thing when I go to my dashboard.
Well, super cool. And of course, you mentioned in the review also lighting, very bright inside, very open, very easy to get to. One of the things I haven't liked about the new fridge, we had a side-by-side with a divider. This is, you have freezer on the bottom, same, we're the same, pull that open. One of the things I haven't liked are the drawers, the wide drawers. So like at the bottom, there's a couple wide drawers and you have to open both doors to get those wide drawers open. And I'm not a fan of that. I would have preferred to have 4 smaller drawers on the sides that are openable. Open one door, pull that thing. It's got, even if I've got to put, sliced cheese on this side and shredded cheese over on the other side. I don't want to open. Every time I open that, I think, you know what? Every bit of coolness has just left the fridge as I've got the doors wide open to just, get the meat drawer open or whatever, those kinds of things. So I have not been a fan of that design. That's just been one of the things
it was handy though, Jim, for things like charcuterie platter, sheet cake, holiday pies. If I'm trying to cool a baking pan of something, it's magic for that. And I did use it for Canadian Thanksgiving for a lot of those things. And that was a drawer I didn't have before in our old fridge. And it was always a struggle to try and get sort of bigger, wider items in. Yeah. So this actually really helps.
Okay. I believe you. I just don't like it. I believe
you're allowed to not like
that. That's the dad coming out at you, Jim. Like, oh, we're not trying to cool the whole house with this thing.
Stop cooling the whole house down.
Stop cooling the whole house with it. Yep, that's what I tell my kids. I feel the same way.
I say that, and then I hear my dad. Like, I hear my dad is stop cooling the house down. It's close the windows, shut the door. All those things that that we used to. My dad used to say to me. We cheat. We do have a downstairs fridge as well, which is a full. It's a full fridge. It's not split. It's got a full door. And so for those things where we need the extra wide, it often goes down. It's like, we'll just put it in the downstairs fridge, kind of deal. So, well, super cool. That is a cool fridge. This fridge tech is kind of interesting. It'll be interesting where it goes. I think there's some cool applications for it. I think at some point, it'd be good if we could get some kind of inventory or some kind of list built or something, even to say, and I think it's got to be voice enabled. I think sometimes we think it's going to be a tablet, but I think it's really got to be voice enabled. So maybe that's coming up as well. Well, it's fall here in the US. It's winter time in some other places, and we're getting kind of that nasty weather that's bringing rain and snow and driving dust to your windows outside. Erin, we've reviewed these before. And have talked about them before. They've had some success, but you're back reviewing another window cleaner. And I was thinking it the other day, this is my least favorite job of all time. Like our windows are super dirty because nobody likes doing this. But do you think have window cleaning robot vacs gotten any better?
They have. It's been probably 8 years or so since I last reviewed a window cleaning robot. And at that time, the technology was really new. So it worked, but it wasn't the best. Ecovacs asked me to review their new window cleaning robot, which is called the WinBot W2. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'll give it a try. I'm sure it'll work great. Our windows were filthy, which if you're watching the video feed, you can actually see how dirty our windows were. And I wasn't sure that it would be able to do a good job of getting kind of all of that dust and dirt and, a season's worth of grime off the windows. I ended up being incredibly impressed with how easy the product was to use and what a good job it did. So this robot it's kind of an all-in-one little box. It comes in a storage and carrying case. The case kind of houses the battery. So with this robot, unlike previous robots that I've tried for Windows, you can use it wirelessly anywhere, which is a game changer for a lot of Windows. The robot sort of comes out of the battery box. It's got a pretty long cord. I forget off the top of my head how long the cord is, but for me, it was long enough to place the battery on the ground and to climb up a ladder and put the robot on the window, and it had plenty of cable. And essentially what it does is it just suctions itself to your window. So you hold the robot against the glass, press the button, and the suction enables, and then it'll just like suck itself to your window glass. And then it sort of sees and feels its way around. So it will go kind of top to bottom, left to right, and be like, okay, I know how big the window is. And then it goes in perfect lines. So it'll clean your window in perfect lines. And then if you want it to sort of go over everything twice, it'll do that too. But worked remarkably well, goes right from edge to edge, which was another previous pain point of older window cleaning robots. Outstanding job, really impressive. And you can use it both indoors and out, which I did. So I kind of went around the outside of the house, cleaned all the windows outside, and then brought it in and cleaned them all inside. And it made a remarkable difference in our windows.
Wow. Now you had the sun shining in a different angle, so that might have helped as well. But and you're showing this, we just got a brand new shower that took 6 months to put in, and it's all glass.
Yep.
And you're like, this is one of those one you could throw in there.
I was not sure it would work on the shower glass because with our shower glass, there's no kind of edges like the.
Oh, the hotel Wi-Fi ended, or is it me?
We lost her.
Erin, we lost you for a second. If you can hear us, hang tight. Maybe we'll come back here in just a second. We'll enjoy watching the video.
That is interesting, though. I would have thought the same thing with the shower glass. Showers not having an edge to them like a window, outdoor window does. I would have thought it would have kind of just gone off the side of it.
Yeah, Mike, do you ever get worried about that thing falling off the window? Like, I've got some windows in the corner of my house. It's 2 stories up, right?
Yeah.
I could reach out there and, put it on there and close the window. That's my immediate fear is they fall off the window.
It looked like, I wonder, we'll have to ask her when she comes back. It looked like there was a tether almost with that you could maybe
like a safety cup. Tether.
Yeah, where you like suction cup to a different window and let it that way. If it falls, it only goes down a certain distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that would be, I see, and then battery operated, right? So I'm assuming for some reason I thought that tether was a cord, but I think it's completely 100% battery.
Yeah, right? You're right though. When she's running it here, I don't see a tether.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm thinking that cord hanging down is the tether, right? That goes to it. I mean, you wouldn't just put this to your window and not have some kind of safety.
I don't know. I think that's the power cord. I think the battery, maybe she, I don't know. All the things I would want to know. But yeah, right there, that little tether. That's what I
think that's the safety. Yeah, I think that's the safety right there. We'll try and get Erin back here in just a second, showing some videos of her getting those windows clean. It would be, is this for you? Would you use something like this? And is it worth the price to have a robot clean your windows?
Okay, well, here's why I think I would do it. Because we don't clean our windows very often, if at all.
I know,
right? It just doesn't happen.
For sure.
But if it's a convenience thing, what I would do, Jim, is while I'm mowing, I would just go put it on a window, start mowing, and as I see it got done, I would go switch the window. And by the time, I don't know, I would be curious how long it takes. But maybe after a mow and a little bit longer, the windows are done. So for me, it's not oh, it's more convenient than cleaning the windows. It's I don't clean the windows. We do it very rarely. But now we would. So yeah, I mean, depending on the price tag, I could see ourselves using it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would for sure. I hate doing the windows.
Yeah.
And you know, Sarah, with the new shower, we are constantly, you know, we have a squeegee in there to get that.
But if you don't squeegee right away,
I know.
you're hosed.
Yeah. But this could be, I don't know if Sarah would like it, to be honest. Now, the outside windows, we never clean. I mean, they're horrible.
Yeah.
And listen, no judgment if yours are that way too. But I could see this would be, for me, I would get something like this. And then this would be my job. And once in the spring and once in the fall, you make your way around the house, stick them to it, get them going, walk away, go do some other things. You know, I vacuum the house. That's one of my other chores. And while I'm vacuuming, you could vacuum a room.
Yeah.
Come back and grab I wonder if it stops. So after it does it once or twice, I wonder if it stops then, so it knows it's done.
It'd be great if it gave you an alert to your phone, you know, because you're probably not sitting there watching it. That would kind of defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
So, you know, so real quick, while waiting for her to come back, I'll do a little PSA on why I have this disgusting looking mustache. So,
okay. All right. Yeah.
So, sporting the mustache.
Should I make a big screen?
November.
Is that what we need to do? Hold on.
Yeah, you can if you want.
Okay, we'll make a big screen.
This is just, you know, and Jim, I just know because you love talking about this stuff too. So, at our office, we love to sport Movember. So, Movember, all of us men around Carson, we sport the mustache, and it's really meant to be you were supposed to ask me, oh, Mike, why do you got a mustache? I'm like, you know, Jim, I'm glad you asked. You know, it's just to raise awareness for us men. We don't like to talk about it. We should go to the doctor. So it's mental health, physical health, and it's really just supposed to be a conversation starter for us guys who are notoriously bad at going to the doctor and getting that stuff checked. You've always been such a good, you know, proponent of that and open about it. So that's the reason for the mustache this month. Every November I do it. Every November, my wife hates it. And I tell her, I think I'm going to keep it. I kind of like it. And she says, definitely not. So
I can't
a few more weeks here of it.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, she's not a big fan of it. But men, out there, go to the doctor. You know, go get checked.
Yeah, get your physical.
Yeah,
get a physical done. Get some things checked out. You know, it's time to. I've put on a few extra pounds over the course of the last 12 months. You know, it's like, well, it's time to think a little bit about your health for sure. You know, Mike, I think you mentioned this, but you kind of blew through it. You know, the world's crazy, and little mental health is not a bad, you know, if you're finding yourself stressed all the time or angry or any of those kinds of things, you know, just I started listening to the Wall Street Journal podcast, and so I get the news. I'm getting the news twice a day, and there's just sometimes I'm like, I just can't listen. Right? I need something encouraging. You know, I need some good news or something along those lines. So make sure you're getting, you know, you're addressing those as well. One of the things I think we forget is that for a lot of folks at your employer, you may have benefits for mental health reasons.
Yeah. A lot do nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah. I may, you know, we were going through our benefits. It's benefits season, right? So benefits are coming out, right? Open enrollment.
And everything went up.
Oh, for sure. That may be another reason for counseling, right? It's just go talk about your finances with somebody. Well, it's just not, well, you know, I get 6 or 12, something like that, sessions a year, you know, to meet with a counselor. I was like, I think I'm just going to schedule and just go to somebody to have a conversation with that's not my family, that's not my friends. I can say anything I want, you know, kind of thing, just to go and maybe gripe about some things. Or I'm like, hey, I don't want you to fix anything. I just want to tell you stuff. And you don't have to do anything, kind of deal. You know, how great would that be for them? Like,
it'd be perfect.
Just sit here and listen. So,
yep.
You know, good reason to do that as well. Let's catch up with you, Mike. While I have a feeling Erin's battery ran out, or
could be.
You know, I don't know.
That hotel internet, you never know. It's spotty.
Well, yeah, it is. That's true. It was downtown LA, and you never know what's going on. What's going on with you? Let's catch up a little bit with you. What's new in your world?
Oh man, tech wise, you're kind of looking at it. So I think the last time I was on the show, I think we had finished the basement, but we had run into all the water issues here. So we finished the basement, and I had a golf simulator, but now with the finished basement, we wanted to put it in. So the hard part was, though, we dug the foundation out in our base. We dug it down to get more height to hit, right? Because our basement was a little short, and for all my tall friends to come over, so we wanted it lower right here in the hitting bay. Well, when we did that, the contractor's like, oh, this is great. It'll work awesome. We essentially created a new sump pit. So the first time we got it all finished, I laid the rubber down and I went to go set up the sim and I stepped down there and it was the day after a rainstorm and it was like a water bed that I was stepping on. So long story short, had to wait a few months. They came in, they dug the trench, piped it over to one of the existing sump pumps. But so just recently, we're able to get this whole area set up. So a lot of the tech for me was technology for the simulator area. And I think one of the most fun parts for me was actually, I really like tidy cables and stuff that's hidden. So part of the project for me was actually planning out, because this was all just studs in an unfinished basement, planning out and ahead of time running all the Smurf tube through all the walls, because in the simulator you have, your overhead unit that's tracking the ball. You have a projector that's right above me. I have this wall mounted TV. So I wanted that all to kind of just blend and not have cords going everywhere. So it was a lot of planning on the front end for running the cables and running the Smurf tube through the wall so you can pull it through the wall. So I kind of enjoy all that stuff. And then it was planning out, because for the simulator, you need a gaming rig. And so for me, what I did was on Amazon, you can get the golf club holder. So it holds 2 sets of golf clubs. In the middle, it's like a shelving area for shoes. And it worked out perfectly. I got one of those. And in the middle, I instead of putting shoes, I essentially snuck my gaming computer right in the middle. So I was able to have kind of an all-in-one unit. And then I got one of the, actually you can kind of see it behind me. You can't see it very well. At the hospital, they have those wall-mounted computer screens and wall-mounted keyboards. Got those same sort of mounts for the computer, and it went right alongside the golf club holder. So a lot of the technology for me has been figuring out all the new stuff with the sim, getting everything wired, upgraded the launch monitor. So for anyone who is into golf sims, I can't recommend highly enough the Unicore brand of items. So this is the Unicore IXO2. And just fantastic. It's an overhead unit. What I love about it, Jim, is for the golfers out there, as you swing, after you go, obviously it shows you what your ball did, but then on the screen, you see an exact replay of the impact as your club came in. So you can see, am I open? Am I closed? So on one screen, on one side, it's showing you the full video replay. Okay. On the other screen, it's just a snapshot of right at impact. And I tell you, if you're a golfer, and you haven't gone to like a sim bay that has that, usually there's a ton of sim bays in most cities where you can go and get that type of review. It will instantly just by you seeing that for the first time in your life. I've never seen a snapshot of like a slow-mo of my impact. And it's funny, you go to a golf coach and they'll tell you, oh, you're in to out, or you're out to in, you need to move this way. But your brain, you can't really connect on the why. Seeing a replay in slow motion and being able to see that instantly, your brain is almost able to do it on its own of like, oh, I need to roll my wrist a little bit. I need to bring it in just a little tighter because that club is way closed. Or look at my path, man. I'm like coming in and coming out. So where I saw this the most, for me, for an older brain that's not as plastic and takes a long time to learn stuff, that's one thing. So it took me, working on the sim, being down here, seeing it over and over. It was actually my 9 and 8-year-olds who within, I'm not joking, about 20 shots, their swing was 1,000,000 times better. They weren't able to get the ball off the ground in our old setup, and them being able to see the replay and then go down and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And it was like, oh, and they became insanely better golfers. So that's been a fun part. So golf tech has gotten so cool that level of technology is now accessible for inside the home. I think it's just fun. Usually you'd have to go to a big, golf place and get an instructor and pay a bunch per hour to kind of get that level of data for each swing. So I'm a data nerd. So I'm tracking like every single shot that I'm doing on the range and seeing all my averages. And it's just been it's a data nerd's heaven to be able to have that type of tracked stuff with your ball and your swing speed and your ball speed and your in to out and all your angles, your smash factor and all of that.
Have you IRL'd them outside has it improved their swing at all outside of the simulator? The kids?
We haven't yet, just because, so this is like within the last few weeks, we finally got this done. So no, we haven't gone back outside yet, but I'm assuming it'll be somewhat relatable. I hope. I was able to actually, so I did go out and play an outdoor round, and I did notice a pretty significant difference. It's fun, and just being able to do it in the winter. I mean, here in Nebraska, we have 5 months of the year that you can't play golf outside. So now being able to continue to play for those 5 months, and which is with that level of data of getting better, the one thing that's kind of interesting is all these companies too are implementing for a subscription, of course,
right?
Like AI golf coaches. And so what you can do is actually, and one thing I'm thinking about, you can add cameras. So all you need to do is plug some cameras into the computer, and one at the side, one behind you. And the software in here will analyze your swing, and it'll give you feedback just like you were standing in front of a real golf coach. So again, saving you money instead of paying hourly for an instructor, you can utilize the tech in your own house.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things. And Erin, yes, the Wi-Fi is indeed out. I've been chatting with her via email in the background. So, Mike, I'm so glad you're here tonight because you understand. Just talk until Jim looks like he needs to say something.
It's exactly right.
Appreciate it. Yeah, she said she's tried rebooting, can't get in. We just saw her a second ago, but we may not be able to get her connected. But Erin, don't worry about it. I said try for 15 more minutes, and then we'll reschedule.
If she comes back, we'll switch her right back to her.
We'll figure it. But
I tell you though, I want her gig, but for golf launch monitor reviews. I want to be the golf. I want them to send me all
start making videos, man.
I should just start. I can review all the different launch monitors.
Completely given up on the blog side of things. On the website, like every link she gave me was a YouTube video, and she's gone. I think she just crossed 100,000 subscribers. Is that do I have that right? Yeah.
That was the milestone I saw.
Yeah. And she's been working hard to get there on that one, but she's kind of gone full YouTube on this. In fact, she's in LA at a YouTube conference right now, learning to do more in the YouTube space. I'll include a lot of Erin's if we don't get her back. I'll include the links we're going to talk about. She's going to spend a little time, and maybe you and I can do this, talking about Black Friday. Do we talk on the golf simulator stuff? I don't want to shortcut that. Anything else you want to add to golf from a simulator standpoint?
I think the only thing I would add is the one thing is if you are for the one other golfer out there who's thinking about doing the simulator, the different styles of launch monitors, just picking the one that's right for you. And I'll just say there's two main categories of launch monitors. So the launch monitor is the device that watches your ball and gives you all the data. And you really have two kinds. There's the one that's a unit that you just set right next to the ball. So it's on the ground. And then you have your overhead units. So this one's an overhead unit. It's mounted over top. It depends really, and cost and what you want. The side-by-side is definitely going to be the most affordable, and you can get really good data. But as far as the pictures and the things I'm talking about, like the swing review, those things are going to be reserved for your overhead monitor. The other reason you might go for the overhead is if you have left-hand and right-handed golfers that are going to come over and play with you, having to switch that ground unit back and forth every time your lefty and righty get on. Whereas the overhead, it just has a big area on the ground, and as long as the ball is in there, you can hit. So looking at those, looking at the different brands, and just figuring out what works. I think launch monitors are things you can spend anywhere from $500 up to about $25,000 on your launch monitor alone. Yeah. And so it really varies. And so knowing what kind of data you want, but go hit on a few, watch all of the YouTube reviews. Cause again, it's something you might get into the hype thinking you need the $20,000 one, when honestly a $2,000 launch monitor might suffice, or even a $500 launch monitor. And again, the other thing that might be is, do I want this to be a launch monitor that I can use in my sim? And then I want to be able to take it outdoors to the actual range. And so I can see all my ball data if I'm just hitting at a range. Because, when you're hitting at a range, you don't really know how far you're hitting it. Right. You don't know your club speed. You don't know your ball speed. You don't know how much spin you're putting on a ball. So although you can watch it, you don't really know how it's behaving. Some of these units you can use in your simulator and be playing virtual golf, and then pick it up, put it in your car, take it and set it right next to you while you're hitting at the range. That might be more valuable to you. So again, there's a lot of different things to look at and kind of evaluating, how am I going to use this thing? What am I going to do with it? For me, I knew, like, with my kids and the age, I don't get to go outside very often to play golf, to be honest. And if I do, I'm going to go play a real course. I'm not going to the range. So overhead, because I do have lefties that come over, and out of the way of my kids on the ground. And I wanted that ball path data. So if you're looking into that, do the reviews. But Unicore is a brand that they have all the different types of those. And I think their data is good. And you mentioned subscriptions. The one interesting thing, Jim, is actually the old launch monitor I had did not have a subscription model. What I found was they ran out of money and they went under. I mean, they haven't officially said they're going under, but there hasn't been a software update or anything from them in like 3 years. So for something like a launch monitor, I actually don't mind an annual subscription. because I know it's going to make their software better. You know, they're coming out with the AI analysis, making that better. The data is getting better. The software is getting better, and they're going to stay around. And you want these companies. So it kind of depends, but you can look at, do you want one that has a subscription, one that doesn't? But this is one of those areas where I don't mind actually paying a subscription, so long as it means everything actually is going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, free always is a bad business model in a lot of ways.
It is.
If you can turn that, I mean, if you can turn that into something, then of course that's.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because I was really excited about it because, like, oh, you know, we don't do a subscription. That's the best part. And then I was like, okay, launch monitors are already a very small market. There's not many people out there buying launch monitors. They weren't the most expensive. They were one of the most affordable. And so, like, the combo of those two things, I was like, I don't know if they're going to make it, which was interesting.
Yeah, premium is the way to go to survive in a lot of ways. But all those combinations kind of come together. Mike, is that a very big space? I mean, are there communities of folks who've installed these in their houses? You know, you go to Topgolf. I did Topgolf just a couple of weeks ago, and at first I was like, I'm not a golfer, and then like I figured out how to hit the ball, and there's something super cool about just launching that thing. I was a good swinger, like I had a good softball swing. So I get the idea of getting your hips into it. Once you can translate that down to the golf ball, man, you can launch that thing almost to the net, right? And that feels pretty good. Does Topgolf, because that's a great way to kind of experience this idea, right, of doing it. Very similar. Any thoughts?
A little bit. Did you go to the outdoor version of Topgolf where you're hitting
here in town, out west roads? Yeah.
This is, so right next to Topgolf, there's a brand called X Golf, which is owned by Topgolf, and that's more the experience of what you're going to get here. So I can pick any real world course, and I can play it virtually on here. So I can, the exact layout, exactly how it rolls, and you're hitting every single shot, and then you're putting, so you're driving, you're hitting the next iron, and you're getting like down to the inch what your ball actually would have done because of launch monitor and all those sort of things. So I would equate it, whereas Topgolf I think is more of an entertainment, just, you're hitting, that's like an outdoor range. Your simulator is more truly taking your outdoor golf and bringing it indoors. If you're a golfer, you've probably at least saw last year, Tiger brought out the new Simulator Golf League. So there is a league that is on ESPN, and it's all the pro golfers, and it's during the wintertime. And they go to this massive facility they built, and it's essentially a huge sim. It's a massive version of this, and they all play on it. And so, but it's real golf. The cool part about it is they can make courses that they can't make in real life. So they make some really cool, creative courses with just geography that you wouldn't be able to find in real life, but it's a fun way to play. And so I do think the community is really large, and it's only getting bigger. Even just at my office, there's 5 of us. I think if you're a pretty serious golfer and you have the space, you're considering putting one of these in. Because you can put it in a garage, you can put it outside in the backyard. A lot of guys in California or Arizona, they'll put it in their backyard if they have good weather most of the time. You don't need a ton of space. And so you can get really creative with it. If you don't even need the projector screen, to be honest. You could hit into a net and then look at your laptop. So you could plug a laptop in, and this could be a temporary setup. So with how versatile they can be, they're becoming extremely, extremely popular.
Yeah. Well, that's super cool. Now, a lot of good tech going. I know this may be the longest project I've seen you continually work on for a while.
Mainly due to the water issues, but yes, it's something that I've loved playing around with. And we do an online league with my friends. And then, one of the main parts about doing this basement, we wanted it to be part of the entertainment spot. So you're watching the Husker game, you're playing golf. And so I had a bunch of friends come over, and we did an alternate shot tournament, and it was just so much fun. And the boys got into it. It's a lot of fun. It adds a whole nother level of entertainment to the house.
Nice. No, congrats on getting that set up. I know you've been working on that for a while. Sorry for the water problems in the basement.
We all got it done. You
did you have to do tile and get a whole bunch of stuff
luckily they thought they were going to have to put another sump pump in here, but we actually had them trench all the way across the basement we have 2 existing sump pumps in this basement already. I was like, I don't need a third. And so they just trenched all the way over to an existing pump.
Your water table pretty high over there?
It must be.
You in a basin?
I'm at the bottom of a hill, and I tell you, we didn't know it was that bad. So for the 4 or 5 months that we were waiting for the waterproofing company to come, every time it rained, I was down here with a shop vac, and I would fill that shop vac 5 or 6 times full of water. just on a normal rain, not on a crazy rain. And so, yeah, we must be on a high water table or something.
In the Discord group, Kyle had some sump pump problems. It seems like you always need your sump pump when it's an emergency. It's always an emergency because your power's out. And so we talked about having a battery backup for him. He purchased a, solar generator or a lithium ion battery backup, which I think is great for that type of application for like a sump pump. Although I would immediately be trying to use that battery for other things, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're like, well, it's just really just sitting there most of the time.
And then it wouldn't have any juice when it came down to the.
Well, that's the way it would go. Yeah, that's the way it would go. By the way, Erin is out. She's tried the Wi-Fi. It's gone. We'll get Erin back. Erin, thanks for coming out and giving it a try. The Wi-Fi went to crap. It happens in LA. Well, good work on that. I know, the trials, the tribulations, you're going to use it. That's kind of the thing, though. You make it significant. For me, this is the way I am with projects, is that I get there's this big thrill in getting the project set up and getting it going. And then I'm like, am I actually going to do it? I don't know. Yeah. You kind of... So good for you for having folks over. It is a great place to gather and a great way to get people together for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's something too, it's one of those compromises of knowing I'm not going to go steal a Saturday and spend 5 hours when I have 3 kids at home.
No,
right?
For sure.
But I'll steal 45 minutes at 7 a.m. and get a full 18 in. And, I got it takes 45 minutes to play all 18. And you fly through it, and you play it at night after they all go to bed, or in the morning before they wake up, and it's perfect.
Yeah. No, right on. Good stuff. Congrats on getting that up and running and done and going. Hey, Erin was going to talk a little bit about Black Friday. We're not that far away from that, right? We're about 2 weeks out. Although, to be honest, I feel like it's been Black Friday all year. Like everybody does these Black Friday sales or whatever. I think Amazon announced they're starting their Black Friday stuff next week. So it's going to be a sale time. Anything you're keeping an eye on, or any new tech that you're kind of hoping will drop or show up? I
need my next batch of hard drives. So I'm hoping for some good deals on some spinners, some old spinning rust. I haven't, I'm in the mode now where, you've always just far exceeded my storage. But my box now is at 122 terabytes, and I'm needing to go up.
You're close.
Close. I'm catching up.
Yeah. You're catching.
Take me some time.
Yeah.
Trying to catch up.
You're
but I have a lot of that so I just started getting 20 terabyte drives, which now actually I probably should go up even from that. But most of the drives in my machine are 12. So I'm slowly starting to replace those 12s with 20s. Maybe looking at 24 or 26. I don't know. I'm trying to find that sweet spot. I always try to find the price wise where you're not paying too much per terabyte. But I need some good deals. I'm probably going to grab 2 or 3 over, because I still use Unraid. So for me, I'll probably want to update my parity drive, and that always needs to be the largest drive. Okay. So I need to do that one. So I'm down for 1, and then that doesn't add any more capacity because that's just the parity drive. So then I'll at least need 2 and start replacing. I actually might even still have a 4 terabyte in there that's running in that Unraid pool. So probably need to get the 4 terabyte out of there.
Yeah, mine are small, much smaller. I've got 1 and 2 terabytes in there. I don't put a lot of storage on that. I have it. It's a backup. I was mentioning you in pre-show. I've been going through the solar work, and then as soon as you start putting solar panels up, I still have grid power, and grid power in Nebraska is super cheap. Like,
it's so cheap.
We have some of the best rates in the nation here in Nebraska. And so it's really hard to justify anything along those lines. But then you start looking at your setups. And of course I bought Tapo energy monitoring, plugs that go in between the device and the wall. In this case, the device and the battery, because I'm measuring it all off batteries now at this point too. And oh man, my Unraid server's running at 60 watts continuously. Is that what I want to do? And hard drives run about 5 watts, 5 to 10, it's based on what they are. And you're right, as you think about your setup there, hey, a 20 terabyte hard drive takes almost a little bit more, but it's not that much different than a spinning 2 terabyte hard drive, right? I mean, from a wattage standpoint,
it's the same.
you're getting economies of scale by going with these bigger drives right now. From a backup perspective, you got a 20 terabyte drive full and that thing goes bad and you got to pull it down from the cloud or whatever. I mean, this is one of those kinds of, when you think about going larger, I think that, by the way, I think the answer to your question on sweet spot is still 12. Like, I think right now 12, 16 is maybe the sweet spot for some of these. The tariff situation has not been kind to the hard drive space. And so they've been, I might give it a little more time, maybe until next year. See what happens, right? See what happens in the U.S. economy. But you get. So I've been monitoring all these things, and you're like, do I want a 60 watt? Do I want a 60 watt drive or a computer on all the time? Well, the gaming rigs run it at 100 watts, right? And you're like, and then I started doing the math, and you're like, that's $10 a month. Like, it's not that bad. I'm thinking like 10. You're thinking like, oh man, I am throwing money out the window. And then when you start doing the math on the kilowatt hour and the price per now that's because we pay 12 cents, right? We pay 12 cents a kilowatt hour here in Nebraska. Flat fee. It's not California. They're not changing the rates based on time. So we don't quite have the challenge. But, as we think about those, I love your idea of like, well, okay, if I need that kind of storage space, you are, from an energy standpoint, you're getting a better lift by having bigger drives for sure.
Well, and better lift for energy. And for me, I just ran out of slots in my, I only have 15 hard drive slots, 15 or 12. I can't remember. And I'm full up. So I can't add another drive. So I've got to go capacity wise. And when I'm going to do it, I'm going to try and get I make big jumps. So I'll go, like, I think I had 2s and maybe a few 4s, and I went to 12. And then I've been waiting, and I'm going to go from 12 to, 20 or 24. I didn't want to go 12 to 16 and only get, 4 more terabytes from that drive base slot. Sure. I want to get more for it.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm actually curious, and I think if you're going to talk about solar, the other thing on my list is some form of that EcoFlow battery. Yeah. And so for me, what I've been looking at is, so we talked about it. I put in that outdoor plug for the generator, which is perfect. And my electrician, I think I told the story, right? He confirmed it. He fixed a few things. And now it's good to go. And I still have the gas generator, but a lot of times, we've lost power once since then. It was only 10 minutes. So I got all excited that I was going to get my generator out, and then it was only 10 minutes. My wife said I was way too excited to lose power.
I know.
It was the first time. I was all pumped.
Yes. It's about time. Yes. Yeah. And people are like, are you crazy? You're like, a little bit.
A little. I just want it once. I just want to be able to use that gas generator, plug it in, and have it work once. But for me, I think it was the combination of, realizing that when that happened, it was pouring rain, thunderstorm. And I'm like, pulling that generator out, going outside, plugging it in. It's in the middle of the night. I want to get wet. Not great. It wouldn't be that hard to wire a second plug right next to my panel indoors and have just a big EcoFlow battery bank. And for me, I don't think, because obviously I think you're talking about the solar route. I don't think I would go solar. I don't think I need the solar. Solar would be great to run into the EcoFlow. But for me, I'd be looking for, can I get 5 hours out of a big battery bank? Yeah. And the other reason I kind of want to do the battery bank in the EcoFlow style is because with the RV, we've been loving it. And we really want to try boondocking where we're not plugged in to shore power. But we don't want, if we're out in some beautiful location, I don't want a generator running all the time. Okay. And so having the battery bank that you could run the AC and everything for a little bit, plug the RV into that, run it for just a bit, and not have the big gas generator running the whole time. So it could serve a dual purpose for me. 90% of the time, we're probably using it in the camping capacity, but when we're not camping, it's sitting downstairs, charged up, ready for if we lose power. Yeah. And so I think the versatility of that is something. So Black Friday, we'll see. They're expensive. They're not cheap. And so looking to get a good deal. The prices, though, have been coming down on them. But they've only been getting better. Like now they're stackable, so you don't have to get all the batteries you want at once. Just you can expand them. You're probably the expert. You're the guy I need to talk to.
I think about it every day. Every day I think about it, Mike. It's crazy. I'm obsessed. Ed Sullivan, who listens to the show, good friend, said once you go down solar, you can't come back. And he's like, then all of a sudden, everything is about power. You're running around shutting the lights off in the house. You're tuning your fridge down so it doesn't use so much power. You're right. All those things. He was right. I just admitted I've put kilowatt meters, or I've put meters on every single PC just to see, like, okay, I kind of need to know what they're drawing. And I was a little alarmed when I realized my gaming PC was pulling 100 watts continuous. Like, and it, you know, it's a crypto rig. I'll probably do some crypto stuff on it here eventually again at some point. So it's good to have, but it's not expensive. It's just the biggest consumer of all. Just to finish that story. So 100 watts for the gaming rig. You know how much the Mac Mini M4 is running? You want to guess?
Idle, just sitting there?
Yeah, let's just say idle. Yeah.
30?
8.
8
watts idle. Like, ridiculous. Wow. You're like, yeah. I'm like, that. What kind of wizardry is going into these things?
Which processor do you have in that again?
That's a good question.
M2, M3?
No, it's the M4. It's the M4. It's the new one. Yeah.
That Apple Silicon in there is so efficient.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And it rips when you need it to too. Like, it's not like it's slow.
Yeah. And like when I use it, it's 18. So like, you know, you're like, okay, the Surface 10, 8 to 10 watts, which is great, right? That thing, I use that as a touch screen for the home automation stuff. That's awesome. I have an old Nook box, an old Intel Nook with one of those Celeron processors. 6. Thing runs at 6 watts, right? And you're like, this is amazing, right? And so I start looking at start just looking at stuff. And you look at that one that's running 100, and you're kind of like, and I feel bad. Now I've been running it at 100 for 3 years. I didn't feel bad, but but I feel bad right now. You know, you're like, oh, there's maybe something I could do. You know, maybe something I could do on those. I haven't even fired up. I have a Core i3 box. It's old. It's 12 years old, probably. 540. It's the first version of the Core series of the i3, right? I've had it for a long time. It's full of hard drives. It has 14 hard drives in it. I'm afraid to fire that thing up and see what that's pulling. It's probably going to be another 75 to 100 watts just with the drives associated with it.
Well, and like you said, the graphics cards too, just like at idle, just to have the card in the machine, 25 watts.
25 watts. Yeah. For idle, for the gaming. But it's made me think like, okay, so I have the channels DVR server on that gaming rig, because it makes sense if you're going to do transcoding, you want to take advantage of that. You know how much transcoding I've done? 0. Like, we don't. Sarah watches it off the TV. Like, we don't transcode. Everything's great. So it's like, should I move channels to the Mac? Should I get an external hard drive for the Mac and move channels to the Mac? That actually might be a better place for it to be anyways. And then at night when I go to bed, I can just put that thing to sleep. It draws,
and the Mac could probably transcode just fine with the CPU.
For sure. Yeah, no, no question. And the channels guys actually write the software first for the Mac. Like
do they really?
They're Mac first, right? And so you start thinking like, okay, should I move that? This is what I'm all thinking right now. Okay, do I get another hard drive, or do I take one of my stolen hard drives and make it work in here for the Mac so that I could do channels, hook all that stuff up, and then I'm like, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I think, because I could put the gaming PC 3 watts at sleep. And you're like, I watch YouTube on that thing, and I game every once in a while, but not much. And it was supposed to be a VR rig that I never used, right? So you're like, it's just choices, right? From
why every time we get on, we always talk about reconfiguring all the stuff. Like, now I want to move this to this server. I think you and I like tweaking. I think it's just what we enjoy, even if we're not going to do it. I think you and I like mentally planning out how it could work if we wanted to move everything around. I would move this to this machine. Well, that means the transcoding needs to go to a different box, and crypto would have to move here. I love it. I mean, that's what I love to do too.
Yeah. Couple. Let's do some chat here coming in. Let's see. So Tony says he just realizes that his 4 terabyte Reds, Western Digital Reds, they're 10 years old. Yeah. All of a sudden, and Mike, I run the what's a Crystal Disk against all the drives I have, and you look at how long they've been active and how many hours they have on them. Man, some of those are old. Like I think I have a 12-year-old 1 terabyte hard drive still spinning.
I'm in the same boat. I've got some 10-year-old ones running in there, probably some 11-year-old ones. I've been slow. They have been slowly failing on me. So I would say in the past year, I've had the most drive failures I've ever had in 1 year. I've probably replaced 4 or 5 this year, but they've all been, it's because I bulk bought way back then, and they're right around that 12-year mark. Yeah. And so it was time. for them to. They didn't owe me anything at that point, right? They'd given me a pretty good life.
You've gotten all the value out of them that you possibly can. Uncle Mars says, I've got a bunch of barely used 12 terabyte red pros. I'm looking to offload. Bueller. So
if you said they were if they were larger than 12, I'd take them. That's what I have in my server too. Right. I'm going to have a bunch that I'm going to be trying to offload.
Tony says, I want to upgrade my 4x4 terabyte Western Digital Reds to something around 16 terabytes total. Tony, now is a good time to do that, by the way. Would you do 116? No, I do. Well, listen, 8 is super cheap. Why? That's hard. It's not cheap. Actually, all the prices are up overall. So it's all relative, right? From that standpoint. But if you ask the question, do I get 116 or 2 8s? I buy 2 8s for sure for the redundancy and the price point. 8s are super cheap. You get too much smaller and it doesn't make sense anymore. So right now the sweet spot is between 8 and 16 from a dollar perspective. Mike, you're paying, if you go 20 or 24, you're paying a smidge of a premium at this point. Not too much.
Yep, exactly. You want to get past that. Yeah.
But a little bit. It's you're making some decisions on why.
And I always go refurb from Amazon or Water Panther or any of those certified refurbished. So like, I think when I bought my 20 terabytes, I bought 2 of them. I think they were like 280 a piece. Yeah. 270, 280.
Yeah. Tony says, I don't need nearly that much storage or the cost. Just had to buy a $4,000 violin today. Yeah, well, those things come in handy too. And then he says, dang, looking at hard drive cost, I might need to keep mine a bit longer. Yeah, I wouldn't buy right now. Now is not a good time to buy.
It's not. Yeah,
for sure.
We'll see what it is for Black Friday. But
yeah, I think this is. Well, and let me ask you: you looking anything else you got on your list from a Black Friday standpoint that you're looking for?
No, the hard drives and the EcoFlow are really the two things I was like, if I find a killer sale on those, and it's really because on the hard drives the price has been so crazy lately. I'm not usually a big Black Friday person. I'm kind of bad about just like buying it in the moment when I need it. I kind of wait until I need it and then I grab it. But this Black Friday, because hard drive prices went so high, and because those EcoFlow batteries are so expensive, I'm just like, hey, you know what? If they come on super sale, might take the chance and grab one.
Tony says, yeah, that violin was 30% off. Yikes. Holy cow. Talk about a golf simulator. He just bought himself a golf simulator.
No kidding. Right? Yeah. Right.
Hey, when we talk about that EcoFlow setup, one of the things I've been thinking about, because when you were doing the inlet, I was too, right, into the house for the generator.
Yeah.
One of the things I did is I brought it in a 50 amp service, and then I actually not terminated, but I left a plug there. And then in between the generator and the service, my breaker panels, they actually are just 250 amp cables that plug together. And so in the future, if I wanted to decouple those and plug one into a generator, like a solar generator inside the house, and then the other one, you could technically use it as a charge for the batteries, right? But most of the batteries don't have a 50 amp service to charge with. They do 50 amps to give the power, but to charge the batteries, you can't plug 50 amp. So what I did is when I brought that service in, I broke it out and put fuses, 20 amp breakers in there, and put 110 or 120 service in there, regular, like what you would regularly get, what the generators or what the batteries would expect, which is 110 service or 120 service.
Yeah.
So that would allow me, if I ever wanted to in the future, I could put a battery bank in between the generator and the power and the house power and run it that way. 50 amp service is plenty for what I'm doing. I put like we talked about last time you were on, I put a soft start on the air conditioner, so that'd work. That's genius, by the way. I wish there was a soft start, to be honest, for the dryer and the stove. Like that. Those
I didn't think about that. Are those high inrush current as well?
For sure. Like
I could see the dryer with the heating element.
Yeah. And your if you have electric stove, you turn that thing. You turn the stove. The countertop parts aren't too bad, but the actual oven, you turn that on, you're blowing your breaker almost every time on some of those low. Okay. That's not designed for it, right? It's pulling. Now, it doesn't pull like an air conditioner does, right? You're not getting that rush of, 35 or 40,000 watts for a second,
right at the beginning, and then
right at the very beginning, then it kind of dips.
Spin up the
But most like the dryer. I tried to run the dryer off of our generator. I have a 6K generator, and it said no. You know, it was like, no, not gonna blew the breaker. It's not gonna do this kind of thing. So I wish there was kind of a ramp up, stop, start. It doesn't matter that the inductive kind of heating is just pulls a lot of watts, not super efficient. And it just does. It's if you're choosing to go that route. Mike, we had this I had this conversation with Sarah and Sammy as I've been doing this solar work over the last couple months, really thinking about it. And I said, you know, we couldn't do this, or it wouldn't. We know it's not cost effective, but we couldn't do this anyways because we're not efficient enough. Like if you're going to do these kinds of things, if you're going to run off the sun, you got to, not only do you have to have an efficient home, but it's really sealed, and you got to be thinking, you got to buy the right appliances for it. You have to have a mindset of conservation and thinking like, yeah, I can't just leave. You know, Sarah's like, what do you mean? We don't do that much. I'm like, we have 15 lights on at night when we all go to bed. Like, there's all these little lights all over the place, and there's, you know, it just leaks out. That stuff just leaks out of our houses, right, so to speak. And you're thinking, oh, you might be running 200 watts when you go to bed at night. You might be running 200 watts of all the things that are thieving a little, because it's a, you know, maybe you have 7 Amazon Echoes. Well, those kind of run 4 or 5 watts, right? So you're you know, that times 5, or I'm at 25 right there. And then you might have a bunch of lights, safety lights around the house. That's probably another 70 watts right there. You're at 100, right? Some of those starts adding up, and you just have to kind of think. I watch all these DIY homesteaders that are off grid. They don't live like we do. Like they're worried about every single watt.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Well, it's funny what your mentality is on that with electricity because of solar. I've been going through that because of the RV camping. I have that same thought, but with water and sewage. Because in the RV, right, I know what 30 gallons looks like now and feels like, and I am shocked how little that is. And because you have to go out, like when we're all showering, going to the restroom, and in the RV, you have your black tank just for your toilet. Your gray tank is for everything else. Your sink in your kitchen, your shower. And I am mind blown. Like I started to realize how much water we truly waste when you don't have to think about how much is going down the drain. But all of a sudden, when you have to be worried about the drain capacity lasting you all weekend, you're like, oh, like that is very, very little water. And I start coming home and I'm like, we need to start military showering, and I'm washing the dishes different. And I'm like, I can't believe how much water I've been wasting my entire life until it's measured for the first time in my life, which, you know, because the first time in the RV, we filled up that tank. We got there on a Friday. It was full by Saturday. And I'm like, there is no freaking way. But it's because we were using it like we were at home, you know, and you just don't realize how much water you're using.
To be fair, okay, I've also looked at my water bill. Like I never really looked at it at all before, you know.
Oh yeah,
Last couple of years, you know, I've been kind of like, I wonder how much water I do use. So the other day I was looking at my water bill, and it's like, let's just say it's $75. 70 of that is everything except water. Like, you know, here we have sewer services and taxes and stuff like
gas.
That. And then and then I actually looked at I have a separate gas company here in Bellevue. But same idea, right? MUD delivers our water. But I started looking at the line item stuff, and the actual cost of water, like $6. I was like, I don't have irrigation. I'm like, oh, I don't want to waste the water. I mean, that's a lot of water wasted. And then I'm like, you know, if I ran irrigation, my bill would be $12. So it's 6 versus 12. Like, seriously. It's one of those things when we think about those bills, it's like the electricity, you know, type deal here with us paying like 12 cents a kilowatt hour. You start thinking, I'm paying, most of what I'm paying is just to be connected to the grid. It's not the actual grid. Now, that's different in the summer here. You know, we run the air and those bills go way up, and some of those in the winter, we all have natural gas here in Nebraska. And so the gas bills, you know, and those kinds of things. So it's a little bit different there, but you're right. You know, you come back from camping and you're thinking like, oh, I got to conserve. And then you start thinking, why? Like it's like this hard drive thing. It doesn't cost me to run a 20 terabyte hard drive. It says a 2. So why wouldn't I buy a 20? Why am I skimping with a 2 terabyte hard drive? Right. You know?
Yeah.
It kind of fits that model too. Right.
It does. Yeah. It's almost just like it's a guilt factor of like, I can't believe that I've been wasting that much water.
Yeah.
You know, like the cost,
No,
you're
for
right.
sure.
Like my water bill,
For
I will
sure.
not even notice it probably.
Yeah.
It'll be, you know, $1 or $2. But it just gets you thinking about that. And you start to realize how much more, like how much less you can live on from the water perspective and how much you could save. You're like, oh, wow, like there is a way, you know, you don't just leave the faucet running while you're doing dishes and little stuff like that.
But sometimes,
but to your point on the electricity, it's different with electricity because there will be a time and place where you do need to conserve the electricity to, in your example, run off the generator or run off solar. For the most part, unless you're in a real big disaster, your water's usually running unless you're on a pump, a well pump or something like that. And your sewer is usually running. You know, it's it's an extreme disaster if those sort of activities are out. But to your point, electricity, though, that's pretty common. You might need to learn, okay, what stuff could I turn off around the house to be able to run off my generator?
Yeah. Well, and that being said, listen, I know, you know, you and I both live in a very reasonable spot of the country for both water, gas, and electric. Like we have well-run utilities. We have well-structured infrastructure for the most part. We are, you know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I realize, you know, there's parts of the country that pay 3 or 4 times what we pay for electricity. Some parts of the country don't have access to the natural gas that we have to, so they're paying for whatever to get more of those. So I understand that you might be saying to me like, Jim, you know, it's more expensive. I think the key to all of that is to understand what you are doing, right? What do you have? How are you doing this? Because in this solar journey, Mike, I do the math and it never pays off. You know, I had to go down the solar path knowing like, yeah, there's nothing I can do this is never going to make sense from a dollars and cents standpoint. I'm doing it because I want to. The generator that I bought doesn't make any sense, right? From a pure, you're going to use it. I'm going to use it 6 times in 10 years. It's going to run for maybe 50 hours in those times if we have those kinds of outages. But it's not used for that. And I think I'm approaching solar from the same standpoint of like, yeah, what if we do get into a spot where I want to be able to provide more of that power to the house and maybe do a dual, have it come in and do both gas and solar, because gas isn't any cheaper and diesel's definitely not cheaper. I could maybe run a natural gas generator. All of those on our electric rates are 4 to 5 times more expensive to run those methods than just pulling it off the grid, you know? So at the end of the day, you're like, none of this stuff pays off, but maybe it becomes a good backup scenario. Maybe it becomes a good, just so you know, I mean, I know infinitely more about solar now than I did going in to same thing with when you got involved in getting a generator inlet. There's some things you got to learn. Your electrician friend probably taught you a few things like, you can't wire it that way. You know,
you apparently can't go down the same tube as your electrical provider. They don't like that, and I did that. So I learned that's something you can't do.
We gotta pull those kinds of things out.
We pulled those back out.
Yeah. On the camping, we'll wrap it up with this. On the camping side of things, any tech you've deployed on the camping side of stuff that, you know, talk about the water and conservation, some of those other kinds of things on the battery side of things as well. By the way, you can never have enough batteries in your house. This is the thing I figured out for the way we do it. You know, you're talking $6,000 to $10,000 if you want to really run your house off batteries. So like, it's a lot of money. Yeah. You can buy a lot of gas generators for $6,000 to $10,000, right? So they look good, and there's some solutions you can do that, you know, get you in the $3,000 to $4,000 range. But even so, that gets you a pretty nice gas generator. You know, that almost gets you. Well, I don't want to say that gets you a Generac, because it doesn't. Those Generacs are $10,000. So, you know, actually, now that I'm talking about that, if you were thinking of doing a full whole house backup like a Generac, that's a $10,000 or a $15,000. Right now, you might be able to do it with batteries for something close to that and do it. So it's worth looking. It's worth looking at. One of the cool things about batteries right now, and then I'll ask you your camping question again, is it's cheap and it's getting cheaper, which is kind of crazy. And there's all kinds of modular options. You always had to get an electrician to do this, and today you still kind of need an electrician, but there's some great ways to do this that are pretty DIY. So check those out if you're interested. All right, last question for you, Mike. Camping tech, anything new along those lines?
Yeah, I'll do a quick roundup. I'll keep it brief on a few of these, but a few of my favorites. So, winter's coming up. So I actually just winterized the RV, and it goes and you put it in storage, and you're always worried about rodents and stuff getting in over the wintertime. So one of the benefits is a lot of these new campers, mine included, has a single solar panel, tying it back to solar on the top of it, plugged into your battery. Now that's not enough to run a lot. You're not running your AC off one solar panel and a car battery, but it's enough in these RVs. It usually powers the fridge for a while, and it powers all of the USB ports around the RV. So for me, actually, what my plan is, because we do park ours outside, our storage is an outside parking spot, so there will be sun throughout the winter. So for rodent, one of the best review ones I found was they are a USB powered, almost looks like a speaker, but it has pulse and sound and like 3 different things. And essentially it rotates through all 3 of them, because one works really well for pests, one works for insects, one works really well for mice, and one for bats. And they're pretty annoying. One of the settings, I think it's the one for mice, is audible to humans. The first 2 we can't hear, but they say to not run it around dogs because it'll drive your dog insane. So the best part about having those USB ports live just from the solar power is I bought 2 of them, one for the front of the RV, one for the back, indoors. And so those are going to run all winter to hopefully keep the pests out. So I thought that was kind of cool. It was a good use, because I'm like, I don't even know why, I don't really use the solar on the RV much. Actually, the main thing about it is it's nice. You always know when you go to pull up to your RV to put it on the truck, your electric jack to raise and lower to get it on is going to have power, because that solar has been trickle charging that battery all the time. So that's the first one. Second one is Starlink is just amazing. I think we already talked about this, but if you're at all into camping, it doesn't have to be RV camping, any form of camping, Starlink is the best thing in the world. You no longer have to worry about if you're in a good cell coverage area. It's so affordable now. I mean, those things are pretty cheap. You can do the $50. You can turn on and off your plan. So you can turn on on the months you go, turn it off when you don't. And so
handy. For camping, that's super handy.
It's super handy. And the speeds, like mine is 250 up, 250 down.
Nice.
I mean, those speeds are faster than some people have in their home. So we power multiple TVs watching YouTube TV, because we'll go during Husker football season and we'll be around a bunch of other campers. Everyone's watching the Husker game. So Starlink's great. Number 3 is, if you have not, especially if you're new. So like, I have not pulled trailers my whole life. Now, if you're someone who you've pulled trailers behind your vehicle and you're so used to it and you're just a pro, you don't need this. But if you're relatively new, invest in the cameras for the side of your camper and the back. So you get a screen that you put in your vehicle. They've had these around for forever, but they've gotten really good, and the price has come down, and the quality of the camera. So on my one screen, it's a portable unit. So no matter if I'm in my truck or Hannah's vehicle, I can move it back and forth. And I have on the top, I'm looking out the back of my RV. So I wouldn't even know if I was getting pulled over without this camera. And then on my bottom, it's split, and I'm seeing the left side shooting straight down my camper and the right side. And it's just for someone who's new to pulling, not being really used to when you're on the interstate, how much room do I have? Am I really past that car when I need to merge over? It is a total game changer. And the prices, those things used to be, for that level, that many cameras, you were easily over $1,000. And those things have come down to about $500 now for all the cameras and the system. And most RVs are pre-wired for those cameras already. And if they're not, you can usually tap into the light ports. So it was an hour install for all the cameras, and it just makes a world of a difference. We did our first longer trip, went down to Kansas City this past weekend. So that's 3 hours on I-29. And then you're driving through Kansas City, and you're driving through some tight spots. And so having those cameras was huge.
Cool. Yeah. It's almost like security cameras, but they're all backup. They're all watching what's behind you. They're all watching your blind spots, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then one final one. If you don't have it yet, get yourself, there is, and I'm totally going to forget, I think it's Beach Lane is the brand. There is a leveler that it doesn't level your camper, but what it does is every time you park your RV, you need to level it. And a lot of times you're whipping out your long level and you're putting it inside. You have to open the door. It's just a little tiny black box. It's a Bluetooth unit. You mount it anywhere inside your RV. You get your RV level once. and you use an app on your phone and you say, okay, now know that is level. So now it knows. Then every time you just, as I'm pulling up, I'm opening up the app, I'm connecting, it connects to Bluetooth, and I can do my side to side and front to back all by looking at it's a level on the phone, and it's just telling me how level it is. You don't have to do any more levels. You're not getting all that stuff out. And it is the best investment you will ever make. And it's such a simple thing, but again, one of those quality of life improvements, the amount of time it saves you when you're setting up your RV every time is huge.
Yeah. Kind of set it, let it go, let it level itself in some regards, right? Make sure you're in some good spots and you've got whatever.
Yeah. So it's not auto leveling for you. It's just giving you your level figure so you can manually do it without having to go and reposition everything every time.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, no, super cool. Well, Mike,
there's your tech roundup for the RVs.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Now some good stuff going forward. Mike, thanks for checking back in this week. Always good to have you on.
Yeah, it was fun.
Great to have you as part of it. Yeah, sorry Erin had to bail out, but we got it done anyway. So
that's why you have the backup, right? I'm happy to be your backup anytime.
It just worked out that way. It just kind of worked out that way. Dave McCabe is joining me next week. Good to have him back. Don't forget Thanksgiving week here, at least in the United States, is the week after, and that means no Thursday show, but we'll do Friday with Sammy. So bringing her back in, catch up with her, all the things that are going on. Today at dinner, we were just talking. I'm like, okay, how do we do your setup from a podcast perspective? Because it's a little bit unique the way she uses her Mac to get that done. She's all old school. So we'll get her set up. And then Christian joins me on the 4th. And that'll be the 15th anniversary of Home Gadget Geeks. That's kind of crazy.
Nice.
I think we've been doing this for 15 years. So big thanks to Erin who joined me as well. We'll get her back. I think at some point we'll figure it out and to get her back on as well. Mike, thanks for coming out. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. And if you want to join us as well, you can join us out here for those. I mentioned who's coming up. I think we're big thanks to Christian over there, Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting. If you're still looking for a hosting plan, he's still doing that. And you can check it out today, maplegrovepartners.com. Secure, reliable, high-speed hosting. Which is pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. And Christian, thanks for your support over the last 15 years here for Home Gadget Geeks. For those listening live, there's a few of you hanging around. Tony, I saw Uncle Marv. Ken was out there a little bit earlier. Dan Lefebvre hanging out with us. Thanks for coming out. We'll do it again next week. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.